Hey cuties, welcome back to my channel. So today, I'm so glad you're here. As always, I am going to make WW Beef Stroganoff. I'm so excited. As always, egg noodles are just one of my favorite things. We ate them growing up, buttered with, all kinds of things on it. But I'm excited for this. So I'm excited that I found a WW recipe for beef stroganoff. So it is 8 points per serving, and I'll link the recipe below. So I just want to go over some of the ingredients. I have most of them prepped here. So in this bowl, I have 1 pound of trimmed beef. So I trimmed off most of the fat and cut it into strips. You can certainly buy the pre-made or pre-prepped beef strips. That would be much easier. And here's some thinly sliced onion. You can use any kind of onion. I just happen to have a red onion, so I think that's going to be delicious. And over here is 1 package of mushrooms just sliced. And over here is some light sour cream, 2 tablespoons. Here are my egg noodles. So I'm going to cook those up so they're ready to go. And in here I have 1 cup of beef broth, 2 tablespoons of flour, and 1 teaspoon of dry mustard. And I just whisked that up, and I'm going to put it in a nonstick pan, just like the directions say, and just whisk it around until it comes to a boil so it will thicken. So join me in a second over at the stove and we'll cook up the beef broth. Okay, so here is the beef broth and flour and mustard mixture. I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but it just got very thick. So I'm going to transfer it to a cup and just cover it and keep it warm. Then I'll wipe out the pan and we'll go to the next step. Okay, I forgot to mention this. I didn't have any fresh parsley, which is what the recipe calls for. So I'm just going to add some parsley flakes. It'll be fine. It'll have a little color and it'll be just fine. And the next step was to dry out the meat strips, which I did. I don't want to show that on camera because some people find that a little gross. And then to brown in 2 batches the meat in a pan with a teaspoon of olive oil for each batch. So I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to overcook it. I'm probably going to leave it just a little bit pink because it'll continue to cook a little bit with the vegetables. So I'm going to do that now. While the beef's cooking, I'm just cooking up my noodles. So it's just boiling water, a little salt, and the noodles, and I'll cook those until they're al dente. That's the way I like them. And then I will drain them and just keep them in the hot pot with the heat off, just to keep them warm, so they're good for when we're ready to eat. Okay, stick around for the next step. I really wish you could smell this beef cooking. It's amazing. It's just the beef, salt and pepper, and a little bit of olive oil. The smell is incredible, and look how nice and brown that got. So you can see there's just a little pink in the middle, but it's going to go back with the vegetables and be all kind of cooked up together. So stay tuned. Okay, the beef's out of the pan and you can see all the drippings in there. So I added the onions, and the recipe said to saute them a little bit for about 3 to 5 minutes until they soften up. And it's going to get a little color because there's the beef little drippings in there, which is fine. It's going to give it some great flavor. The recipe didn't say it, but I added just a tiny bit of salt and pepper. I like to season my ingredients as I go along. So I'm going to let these cook up, and then next I'm going to add the mushrooms and some water, and we'll cook that up. And I believe we add the meat back in and bring the gravy up to another kind of simmer, but I'll show you that next. Stay tuned. If you could smell these onions cooking in the beef drippings, oh my goodness, I wish you could. So the next step is to add the mushrooms. I'm going to put those in. And then just a little bit of water. I'll mix it up. Just a little tiny bit of salt and pepper for the mushrooms. And we'll get those going and go on to the next step. Okay, so the mushrooms have been cooking for about 3 to 4 minutes. They're nice and brown. I cannot believe how much color everything is getting. It's just going to be delicious. So now I'm going to add the beef back and finish cooking that. Stir that up. And then the recipe says to basically remove all this. Once the meat's cooked through, I'm going to transfer it to a platter, and then we're going to heat up the sauce. So here's the meat mixture. I put it into a little platter. And again, it just looks so delicious. So I'm going to put some foil on top to keep it warm, and then I'm going to heat up the sauce. Just another thing before I plate this up, I just tasted this gravy to see what it tasted like before I put it over the beef. And it definitely needed a little bit of salt and a whole lot of black pepper. We really like black pepper on these kind of meals, so you of course want to make it to your taste, but be sure to taste it kind of as you go along. And I didn't do that, but I did taste it before I'm going to pour it over the meat and the vegetables. So just a little hint. So stay tuned to see how I plate this up. Okay, here it is in the platter. So I took the gravy off the heat, and then I added the 2 tablespoons of light sour cream, and you can see it sort of has that nice glossy creamy look. I added a little tiny bit more pepper. So there it is. So I'm going to make our bowls. I'm going to put the egg noodles in each bowl and this on top and a little bit of parsley. And there it is, looking all pretty. So I did sprinkle the parsley on there. And these are not the buttered noodles of my childhood, but if you had a couple extra points, you could totally butter the noodles before you put the mixture on there, but it just has such a beautiful color. I'm really surprised, pleasantly surprised. But so yeah, I hope you give this a try. It's the WW Beef Stroganoff, and it's right on their app, but I'm going to link the recipe below for you so you can try this, and it's 8 points per serving. So I'm going to sit down and enjoy this. And if you like these kind of videos, I love making the Cook With Me videos. They're my favorite, and I've been kind of on a roll with them. So if you enjoy that, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. I would love it. And I'll see you soon.